CBS just confirmed Rocky Carroll's return, but NCIS will never be the same after Vance. When NCIS killed off Director Vance, it didn't just shock fans, it quietly changed the DNA of the entire show. And now, just when people are still processing that loss, CBS confirms that Rocky Carroll is already back, but not in the way anyone expected. And honestly, that might be even more important than bringing Vance back. Let's talk about what's really going on here. Because on the surface, this looks simple. Carroll returns to direct Season 23, Episode 16, titled S.O.S. But if you've been following NCIS closely, you already know this isn't just a behind-the-scenes update. This is a signal. For nearly 2 decades, Vance wasn't just a character. He was the backbone of leadership after Mark Harmon's Leroy Jethro slowly stepped away. Vance represented control, stability, authority. So when NCIS chose to kill him off and make it permanent, that wasn't just a dramatic twist. It was a statement. And here's the part most people are missing. This wasn't done for shock value. It was done because NCIS is entering its final transformation phase. After Gibbs left, the show entered what you could call a rebuilding era. New leadership dynamics, new emotional tone, new risks. But Season 23, this feels like the end of that transition. And Vance's death is the final piece of that puzzle. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because while fans were expecting grief, what they didn't expect was how definitive this death feels. Unlike other procedurals that walk things back, NCIS made sure there's no ambiguity, no fake out, no hidden survival. Vance is gone. And that forces one big question. Who takes control now? This is where Timothy McGee enters the conversation. For years, McGee has been quietly evolving in the background, from a nervous probie to one of the most emotionally intelligent agents on the team. And now, for the first time, the show is putting him in a position where leadership isn't optional anymore. It's necessary. But here's the hidden layer most fans aren't talking about. McGee becoming director wouldn't just be a promotion. It would completely redefine NCIS leadership. Because unlike Gibbs and unlike Vance, McGee leads with empathy first, not authority. And that could either be exactly what NCIS needs or the beginning of a completely new kind of internal conflict. Now let's go back to Rocky Carroll's return, because this is where things get deeper. Carroll isn't just coming back randomly, he's directing Episode 16, S.O.S. And based on the synopsis, it seems like a standard case of the week. A Navy lieutenant reappears after a suspicious disappearance, and what looks like an accident turns into something far more calculated. But here's the thing about NCIS. The simple cases are almost never simple, especially when placed right after a major character death. There's a strong possibility that this episode is doing something subtle, not advancing the Vance storyline directly, but showing how the team functions without him. And more importantly, who naturally starts stepping into that leadership vacuum. Because leadership in NCIS has never been about titles. It's always been about who people look to when things go wrong. And that's why Carroll directing this episode matters. He understands Vance better than anyone. He understands the tone of the show at its deepest level. So if anyone is going to guide the first major episode after Vance's death, it makes sense that it's him. But there's also something symbolic happening here. Carroll may be gone on screen, but behind the camera, he's still shaping NCIS. And that might actually mirror what Vance represented all along. Even in absence, his influence doesn't disappear. Now, let's address something controversial, because not everyone agreed with this decision. In fact, reports suggest that Mark Harmon himself wasn't fully on board with killing Vance. And that makes sense, because removing Vance removes one of the last direct connections to the Gibbs era. But that's exactly why the writers did it. To fully move forward, they had to let go of the past. And whether fans like it or not, that's what Season 23 is doing. So where does this leave NCIS? Right now, the show is standing at a crossroads. A team without its longtime director, a possible new leader in McGee, and a creative shift happening both on-screen and behind the camera. And Rocky Carroll's return? It's not about nostalgia. It's about control during transition. Because even as NCIS evolves, it's making sure the people who built it are still guiding where it goes next. And that's why this moment matters more than it seems. This isn't just an episode. This is the beginning of what NCIS becomes after Vance. And the real question isn't whether the show can survive without him. It's this: will NCIS still feel like NCIS when it does?